Alrighty. So we should be back. It'll take a moment for everyone's stream to go, so we'll see how it goes. If there's any further sync problems, don't spam the chat about it. I mean, some people who have very sharp eyes will always notice like a few milliseconds here or there, and it actually depends considerably on Twitch. I never know if I'm not sure if it's a Windows driver or OBS or something weird going on with Twitch when this happens. But let's start the game up again. There we go. Good. People are saying it's better. And some people never see the desync. And I can't see it until I go into the post. But there we go. All right. So, as I was saying, before we were interrupted by technical issues, Master Orion is one of my favorite series of all times. It is a 4X game, which stands for Xylophone, Ziggurat, anyway, that's not even an X. It stands for Explore, Expand, Exploit, and Exterminate in some variation of that order. And it is also... Oh, I gotta put this fucker in again? Hold on. It's because of the early access. I didn't realize I would have to keep that open. That is very annoying. Yeah, so you go around and you explore the galaxy and you expand your empire and you exploit the resources and technologies that you discover and and research, and then you exterminate all your oppositions. Oppositions, plural. There are, depending on what 4X game you're playing, more than one victory condition, and this one does indeed have more than one. There we are. Also some lovely, lovely little music here. There we go. Might be a little bit low, but we'll tune that as we go. And yeah, so Master of Orion 1 was excellent. Master of Orion 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Master of Orion 3, I would say, never existed. The problem, for those of you who don't know, what the original issue with Master of Orion 3 was, is it diverged a fair bit from the mechanic of the series. They really wanted to make something different. And, you know, more modern. Because one of the things, there's always that rose-colored glasses issue, right? People talk about these old games and like, oh, they're so good, they don't make them like they used to anymore. And sometimes, you know, you look at those games and it turns out, yeah, there's actually a lot of stuff that was kind of shit about them. But at the time, they were so far better than everything else. And there's certainly some issues with the AI and some of the development and tedium and micromanagement and things like that in Master of Orion 2, although it is still very good. So with Master of Orion 3, they tried to mix things up a bit, and they really lost the spirit of the game. It was not the same sort of game. They went in a very different direction, and at release, it was buggy and unbalanced and a lot of terrible things like that. I keep being told that with some of the post-release patches, as well as a lot of fan patches, Master of Orion 3 is quite playable these days, and maybe at some point I'll go and take a look, but for me it's mostly like a case of it's too late, too much disappointment. There was so much hype about it. And so now, when they announced that there was going to be a new Master of Orion game, a lot of people were like, okay, I'm going to be very, very cautious about this. There was like an anti-hype engine, which I think is always good for a lot of games. Danila, thank you very much for the sub, and Stars and Stuff. Excellent name for this game. Thank you very much for the sub there as well. And I've got to restart. There we go. A couple apps. Okay. What this is, I mean, is it a sequel? Is it a remake? I don't know, but it's very much, the announcement from the start is going to be very much in the spirit of Master of Orion 1 and 2, and I think that they have done that. Very, 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 very much. It is still a game that is in early access. Actually, early access starts in 2 days. Lots of features still missing. Lots of things may still change by the time the release is there. But there's a shocking amount of polish at this point. They have, it's being developed / published by Wargaming.net. I think they have a subgroup within that. Wargaming.net is a very successful, big company, known mostly for other kinds of things, but I think there was a real sort of project of love here when they got a license, and I think they've been able to pour a considerable amount of resources into this. There's a lot of voice acting, which was quite surprising. Hey, we got a tip. Thank you. Who dat? Chino42, thank you. Hi from Singapore. Wow. Love to see you that early online. It's 11 p.m. here right now. Yeah, I know there's actually quite a few viewers from Singapore, and they're always complaining because it's, you know, like almost 12 hours off, which makes it kind of hard to catch the streams a lot. Big hug to Ascension. Glad everything is getting solved. I'm glad too. Thank you very much for that, Chino. Really appreciate that. So I think we're going to just get started here. And yeah, Master of Orion. I don't know if the multiplayer is in now. I mean, it's on the main menu. So presumably multiplayer is like maybe functional in its early access. I don't know. I haven't tested it. I've only like derped around here for about 30 minutes. We're going to start with a new game over here, and we're going to look at some of the options.
From the cloudy planet Altair.
So right away you can see there is like voice acting for all the descriptions of the characters. The characters are beautifully designed and animated. Great sort of 3D effects here. They look fantastic. Like the Sakura in particular. Holy crap, this looks amazing. This looks like what the Sakura should look like to me. Big, nasty, scary alien lizard guys. Right now in the early access, there's just the 6 races available. They do plan on adding the Darlock, the Klakon, Meklar. All of these are classic Master of Orion races. Oh, and the Silicoid as well down here, as well as the custom race button. Currently, that is grayed out, is not available in this build yet. Really looking forward to the custom races, because that is one of the really defining features of Master of Orion, and one of the reasons that I played so much Master of Orion 2 is because the games, each game could be considerably different, because you could really put together interesting combinations of abilities for your races. Some being really, really powerful, others maybe intentionally being sort of weak in certain areas to just mix up the gameplay and make it more interesting. So really looking forward to see how the custom race stuff works. What do we want to play this time, guys? So the Sakura, over here, classically they're very aggressive military races. Each race, it'd be nice to be able to turn off the voiceover while I tab through these. Each race of these starts with a slightly different starting tech, but ultimately get to the same place, and then have another couple of traits. Sakura use less food, so their population grows a lot faster. They can also terraform swamp planets to uber tropical planets for them to colonize. You got the Cylon, who are like your Brainiac type people. They actually start with a large homeworld, so they can get a much higher population in their initial planet, and maybe don't have to rush out as much. They also get 50% more research from population. Tech is obviously a really good thing in most of these games. They also have a gravity tolerance for low gravity. Even though they're in a large homeworld, low gravity doesn't bother them. Presumably their homeworld is less dense or something of that type. It does look like they don't have a penalty on higher gravity planets with this modifier. They just don't have a penalty to low, which is a little different from Mu 2. Starting tech, they start with the government tech. The Mershan also start with a large homeworld. They can make super planets out of grassland planets. Presumably it's got more of that sort of lion savanna kind of thing. Yeah, we'll do a straw poll. Let's go through the list and we'll do a straw poll after that. Ground units, extended barracks. The race can host more Marines at each colony, so they have more ground units, and they start with engineering. Okay, that's fine. The humans in the Mu universe tend to be very diplomatic, charismatic-y kind of bit. They do suck at counter-espionaging, so they have a more open society, I guess, and people can spy on them. But they do have improved negotiations, whatever that means. Bulrathi, bear people. Their homeworld is mineral-rich. They don't start with the larger homeworld, but they can produce more from it. They also tolerate high gravity, and they start with physics. And then we've got the Alkari over here, who their homeworld has artifacts, which gives them a bonus to researching on their homeworld specifically. They're also good at dodging beams and start with physics tech. So let me go ahead and start a straw poll. It looks like cats and Cylons are mostly at the top here, but give me a moment. You don't have to spam chat. I will get it in a thing. Which race should we play? As far as I can tell, with the traits that they've got set up now, which I expect will change a multitude of time as the game development goes forward, especially as they introduce the custom race stuff, I don't think there's going to be a dramatic difference between each race, because I think we'll be able to sort of get everywhere with all of them. Alkari, Bulrathi, human. Hey, they're missing the psychic matriarchal race. And I think one more. Who else are they missing? Oh, they're missing the super traitor little goblin dudes. They have been cut, perhaps. Again, it's a little early to be able to tell that. And the Sakura. Allow multiple choice. Sure. Okay, and I have the straw poll link going into the chat now. Vote for race here. Yeah, the Nolums. Boom, boom, boom. So if you guys click that link and then click there, we'll see what people want. A lot of votes right away for the Cylons. Not a surprise that they should come out in an early lead. Obviously, technology rules in these games, so the Cylon are probably quite strong. A lot of people like the Mershan. Always a fun and interesting race. Wow, actually a lot more support for the Mershon than expected.
The
What's their traits at this
blazing
point? They do have
savannas of
large, the
Fear
grasslands.
gave rise to the ruthless warriors
But
known
the Cylons have, I
under
think, a
supervision
pretty
of
locked-in lead at
controller
30% of the vote. The Mershon are second at 21%, then the Soccer at 15%. I don't think anyone's going to displace the Cylon at this point. There we go. So we're going to go ahead with the Cylon and the Super Tech. Now, what's cool is the Cylons also have really neat-looking ships. Very, like, 1950s flying saucer kind of ships. So we're going to go with that. Okay, now we set up the game settings. Couple of things. First of all, again, because there are only 6 races in total, currently our max number of opponents is 5. Clearly, there's going to be room for a total of 7 opponents or 8 races later on. Obviously, that is quite obvious. Also, the difficulty level is currently locked at average. Clearly, they haven't developed all necessarily the AI and game balance things and whatnot. 2 galaxy types right now, circle or spiral. I'll go circle, because I think, I'm used to going with spiral galaxies, and a circle galaxy will probably feel considerably different. Who just subbed? Oh, Young Boy Jimmy with 20 months. Thank you very much, Jimmy. I'm going to keep the galaxy size to small, or to medium. I know a lot of people are like, make the biggest. Well, here's the thing. We only have a total of 6 races as opposed to 8. I think if we went large, it would take too long to meet anyone. So we're going to keep it on medium. We'll meet people a little bit earlier. It'll mix things up, make it more interesting. Galaxy age, it's not explained here, but classically in Mu, an older galaxy will have often sort of more livable planets, but less mineral rich. Whereas a young galaxy, everything's still in flux and early development. You get richer planets, but they're a lot less habitable. So we'll go average in the middle over there. I like how there's you can choose a seed for the Big Bang so that the universes will be the same. So we'll go with, tell you what, let's manually type in 1818. If you're playing at home and you go 1818, presumably you'll have the exact same galaxy as we do if you have all of these settings. There's also advanced settings over here. We just got another tip. Let me see who that is. Kodos! Hey, don't blame me. I voted for you. Kodos, thank you very much for the tip. Hey, Quill, or the contribution to the Whiskey and Chocolate Fund. I'll drink the whiskey. Essential, get the chocolate. Hey, Quill, I just wanted to say thanks for all the great content and wanted to give something for the hours of entertainment. Thank you very much, Kodos. Really, really appreciate that. Especially, and I really am very sorry about how little content there's been over the last week. But, yeah, obviously, I've spent a lot of time at the hospital. And Greg, thanks for the resub as well. So more options here. We're going to leave the defaults, random events. I don't know what pixel ships are. I guess, does it literally change the art from 3D to like a 2D pixel ship? That's cool. We're going to have pirates, monsters, allow racial traits. I guess you could turn that off and get like a level playing field, which is kind of interesting, actually. Ludwig with the 2-year resub. Thank you very much, Ludwig. Wow, 2 years. Such crazy stuff. There's not that many people who have been around that long. Thank you so much, Ludwig. Random starting conditions. I wonder if that just randomizes this top bit. And then the victory types, excellence and diplomatic. And then I think there's also like domination that's built in automatically. We'll see them in the game. They'll also be described there. Zane with the 12-month. I think you've also been a dwarf before too, if I recall correctly. Thank you very much for the resub. Zane and the full year. The subiversary. Thank you so much. Let's start the game. Bum. Stop Canadian. Okay, because I'm apologizing too much. One day, Canada's going to rule the world, and then you'll all be sorry. Sorry, it's a joke I heard once, and it made me laugh so much. All right, boom. There is sort of like a tutorial advisor kind of thing. Oh, yeah, and there's a starting cutscene. I'll shut up.
The Cylon had looked at the stars above Mentar and wondered. Generation after generation, the isolated Cylon quantums strived.
The audio is not mixed right. The music is too loud, but at least you can read the subtitles.
To add an iota to their combined knowledge. Now the time has come for the Cylon Quanta to go beyond in their search for answers, to travel to the deepest reaches of the galaxy and solve the enigma at its core.
So, it's early access. Actually, it's even before early access.
Greetings, Controller. You are the Controller, of course. It follows that I am Moultrie, your cooperator. I'll be assisting you with any and all needs for your projects in the galaxy.
Okay, what seems to be the case is I tuned the audio settings, and I halved everything. I brought everything down by half. But the music is still way too loud, and the voices aren't loud enough, so we're going to go and crank them up. And I'll bring the music down just a scooch again. So I think the balance there was just off. Ooh, those sound effects are too loud. Let's try that, and then we'll see what happens. So yeah, we'll crank the voice so that you'll hear some more. So here's our galaxy. You can move around quite easily with the left mouse button. I don't know how many stars are in the medium-sized galaxy or the large. I don't have those stats. Scorpio Shirika, thank you very much. Hey Quill, second shift workers never make it to your streams. Thanks for all the YouTube comment you provide. You're going for a non-domination victory. New to move, excited for the stream. I don't know what kind of victory we're going to go for yet. Check the paths to victory here. You can see it looks like they're planning for 5 different victory conditions. Excellent victory is just a time victory. Have the highest score when the last turn ends. Okay, fair enough. Conquest Victory, defeat all enemy races. Okay, yeah, if everyone's dead, you sort of win by default. This is one we couldn't choose whether it was active or not. It's just, obviously, this is always going to be a possibility. Diplomatic Victory, be elected as Supreme Chancellor in the Galactic Council. Looks like there's also going to be a technological victory at some point later on. Be the first to discover and build key advanced structures. And then an economic victory, lead the interstellar stock exchange market. I'm quite excited about this because Mu did not have an economic victory option. It didn't have an explicit technological victory either, but it sort of had an incidental one because you could build dimensional gates and go kill the Antarans. That was another way to win the game. So I'm quite curious as to what this is. It's not locked right now. It's not available right now. I think that'll be unlocked later on in the development cycle. Love the UI. Some UIs go minimalistic and cut out too many things, but I think it's actually done very well here. In particular, if we go ahead and click on our planet, love this screen. So this is very classic Master of Orion, where you can assign your population to 3 different categories. A lot of games have tried to copy that, and I mean, not that Master of Orion was necessarily the first one either, and it doesn't always work out. I kind of like their decision here. It's interesting that they've got a diminishing return in some of the categories, presumably, for farming. So this first guy is producing 5 food, the next one is producing 4, this guy's producing 3 food per turn, 3, 3, 2, 2. If we assign just a ton of people over here, the last 2 don't produce quite as well, and presumably, there's just biomes that are somewhat less well-suited to things. The same thing happens in production over here. You could go, put max focus into production, but these 2 guys really aren't doing much for you. So it's a kind of interesting way to balance it out. Mu2 had that a little bit because there was a sort of a pollution mechanic, but it was kind of, I don't know. It's one thing in Mu2 I didn't enjoy very much was the pollution mechanic. I actually quite like it a lot more here in this new Master of Orion, because pollution is actually something that builds up over time, and one of the projects that you can do is actually clean up pollution. Oh, it's not listed here, but you can clean up pollution as a work project. Oh, it's probably not listed because there isn't any yet. So that's quite cool. Food does grow your population. I mean, so now our next population will grow in 9 turns. Growing faster is good. Technology is good too. I mean, right now the tech is kind of crap. I don't know. We're going to finish a colony ship in 1 turn, regardless, I think, at the start. So I think, presumably there is overflow. Okay, we'll leave 1 dude over here. Presumably there is production overflow. But I'll put some extra guys into research over here. We get, of course, a 50% bonus to technology because we are Cylon. So you can see here, like, we're getting 5 tech instead of 3. In fact, even here, we're getting 3 tech instead of 2 because of our 50% bonus. So that's excellent. Planet info, that sort of thing. We've got our fleet over here. We'll get some text, I think.
Controller, let me interrupt you for a second.
Oh, okay, didn't realize. Exploration is paramount to our success. To move a fleet, left-click it to select it, and then right-click on the destination. To split a fleet, left-click on a fleet, then select the ships you want to move. Okay. And if we look here, it actually, like, spins the little ship to face the mouse as you go. I kind of like it. I also really like the flying saucer look here. I think that's just the Cylon ships, but we'll see how it goes. So we've got 2 scout ships and a frigate. Frigate is a military ship. The scout ships are explicitly not listed as military. As far as I know, they can all kind of explore. We have another planet in our solar system. It looks like it might be a gas giant. I don't know. I'm going to send the frigate over to there. And yeah, we did get info. Mentor Prime, just a gas giant. We can get a planet list over here. Mentor Prime. These are potential colonizable planets. So Mentor Prime is very big, but it is a gas giant. The biome, I think, affects how much people can actually live on the planet, as well as its farmability. I don't think a gas giant can be inhabited, but there may be other things that we can do. Yeah, different Cylon. These are the PSIlons, right? Cylons. Cylons, not Cylons. Not robot people. Cylons. I can say Posylons if that'll make people feel better, but I think that's just going to lead to more pain than anything else. But yes, we are playing as the Posylons. So now we've got 2 stars that are connected to where we are. There's a little bit of vision. Like over here, Tripton, we can actually see that it's got a crap ton of planets. But we don't actually know how to get there yet. So, in any case, we've got 2 scout ships, so clearly we're going to send one over here. So let me make sure I've got 1 scout. Oh, did I... I think I done goofed. Yeah, I done goofed. I didn't split them up properly. There you go. Now we'll split that fleet. Oh, we did get close enough to be able to see over here. I like that. When you get close to a system, you can sort of peek in, but you got to go there and then check the individual planets to actually get anything going on. Greg, thank you very much for the contribution to the Chocolate and Whiskey Fund. Greg says, lots of chocolate for Ascension, a good bottle of whiskey for you. And thanks for a bunch of you for gameplay. Finally, I know what I'm doing in it. Excellent. It makes me so happy. More people should be playing that game. Quite excited. Briarstone is starting to play it. So now we have to choose our research. Okay. So I've been very happy so far with a lot of stuff in this new Master of Orion. I do have one... The research... Yeah. So one of the things I love the most about Master of Orion 2 is that it doesn't really have a tech tree. It had 6 research categories, and you progress linearly through each of these research categories. Like, for example, physics was mostly... is it physics? Energy? I don't remember. But there's like one category that was mostly beam weapons, plus some communication stuff. But at each level in that category, you'd have a choice of 2 or 3 different techs, and you could pick one and only one to research. The other ones that you didn't research, you couldn't research anymore. You just moved on to the next level of tech. So at every tech level, you were constantly making these interesting choices that would cause each game to play out differently. It would cause you to be different from the other races, and was kind of neat. Now, you could backfill those missing ones through trade with other races, and also through espionage. Plus, there was one trait that you could use with your race called Creative, what would give you all of them at each level, which was really powerful. There's also a trait called Uncreative, where you didn't get to choose anymore. It, like, randomly gave you one of them in the list, which could lead to really wonky games. They have replaced that with a tech tree. And that might be one of those things that is just like, you know what, modern sensibilities and whatever, maybe the other system is too complicated and weird. I don't know. I'm a little sad about that because it was one of my favorite areas of replayability. That being said, there often was a mostly correct way to go through the old tech system, but not entirely. Sometimes you want to focus on missiles, sometimes you want to focus on beams, and even on beams where you're going to go through like the energy tree to get lasers, or are you going to go through the field trees to go mass drivers, because that has different implications with miniaturization and shields and other stuff like that. So I don't know. But yes, we have a tech tree over here. It is very large. That's a pretty big sized tech tree. I think comparable to something like Civ 5. So we'll see. And it does have this list here, which shows me all the things I could research right away, as well as the amount of turns it requires. So these would all take 13 turns. These would take 3 because they're the lower things in the tech tree. So basically, we started with the government. That's why we can go with these other things. I think it probably makes sense to get the other low bits in the tree. What did starting with government give us? Unlocks research labs right away. Well, that's pretty good. And unlocks the government support facility, which gives us a morale bonus. Plus 15% morale. If morale works like it does in, say, Master of Orion 2, then that just means we build this and all our farmers, workers, like construction workers and scientists will just work 15% better, which is pretty goddamn good. Then you can unlock physics first, because the automated factory is nice. It just gives you a flat 2 production per turn without even assigning anyone else to it. You obviously will have to build it, but definitely one of my favorite techs of Mu 2. And most I'll refer to Mu 2. I have technically played Master of Orion 1, but not very much. My memory of it is very fuzzy. And we can advance to the next turn. Yeah, and that's the system we just spotted. Guys, we have spaceships. Now let's research physics. That's right.
For a second.